Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to JR Studios. I am your host, Jay Voodoo Child, and this video I would like to talk about the single greatest improvement that you can make for your region, and that is one simple rule: keep people from connecting to other cities within the region. And with that, you will be able to level everything in that region at a faster rate, and you will be able to do other types of hauling when you reach those caps of 14, 15 at your landmarks, and you'll be able to spend more time leveling your cities. That means more region points coming from that. The faster you can get into the higher levels of cities, the prestige gain from hauling in those cities become more and more. So not only are you getting region points for city levels, you're getting region points for more prestige going to your players. You have opportunities for titles. That's even more prestige for your players. And it just kind of snowballs. And it all is based on the population that each city has. So once you start into a city, that's obviously you're contributing to the population and to the requirements of the city, and more importantly, the landmark of the joining landmark to that city. That population and every connected player, every active connected player, adds to the requirements of the city and the landmark for both money and the goods that have to be delivered there. And to really demonstrate this, I'm going to select the Northwest Territory for Loch Ness on this particular round. It's in second place overall. It has 86 active members, and its best city and best landmark is in Glasgow. And so we will go out to that right now. Excuse me. And as you can see here, it has 34 people connected to the city of Glasgow. And the money requirements to level 12 to 13 is 243 million, almost 235. And 181, let's say 182,000 tons for each of the 14 goods, because they've been leveling one by one. And so you start off with 3 goods at level 1, so 12 add 2, that's 14 goods here. And so 390, which can be 82,000 tons per good, and this city will, or this landmark will level up. But we'll go back out to Manchester, and I'll show you the population there. Is their second highest ranked, and it has 66 people connected to the city of Manchester. Its money requirements are 286 million, and their goods requirements is 393.5. Now that is a huge difference, and multiply that at times 13 goods. So when I was hauling down in Malaga, I contributed about 305,000. I was there full time hauling to the landmark the entire time. And each good for that level 10 landmark required 303 based on our population there. So by myself, I contributed to about 1/12 of the cargo needs for that landmark. But I was one of like 56 connected people to the city. And so my hauling was dramatically different than the my percent to total on what I was contributing to the landmark as far as hauling cargo goods there far exceeded my requirement that I was adding in by being a new connected player to Malaga because I started off in Paris. So just having people connect to your city that didn't start there will dramatically increase the tons required for that landmark and for the city itself when you're trying to level it. And as you can see here, between the Glasgow and the Manchester landmarks, that's, let's see, roughly about a quarter difference, I believe, if not a third. Actually, a quarter or third. I don't know the math. I'm rough guessing it. But I was looking at an example on Monday between the landmark down where I was hauling at, and I believe at that time I was looking at Cardiff City's castle. And basically, it was about 33% less hauling. So, I was contributing through my 305 tons or 1,000 tons that I delivered to the bull ring. That was 1/12 of what the cargo requirements for that landmark. If I applied that tonnage up here at Cardiff Castle, I would have covered 1.75, I believe, of the cargo requirements. And so roughly I got 33% more time if I was hauling to this landmark than the landmark I was actually hauling to. Now, right now, we are almost at the halfway point in the round. We're just 2 days or a day and a half away. And as we can see here, the top landmarks are level 12. And basically, once everything hits level 14, people start shifting to helping out other landmarks in the region and leveling up the cities for the last half of the round. And so, let's just say for a top team and a top region, it takes you 3 eras to max out your landmark before you can start doing other things. Well, if you had prevented people from connecting to the city, but they could still connect to the landmark and still help out leveling the landmark and putting tons in there. But if you kept people out of the city, it could have taken them 2 eras instead of 3 to cap out your landmark. And that is 2 weeks of hauling that you can apply to another area. You can start hauling to another people's landmark and get them up to level 14. And then start leveling their cities or working on other landmarks. And that is just time that is finite because you only have a certain amount of time in any given round. And what you do, all the decisions you make during that round influences what the end product is going to be at the end of the round. And so if you spend 2 eras maxing out your landmark instead of 3 eras, that's just more time that you can start putting more levels onto your cities and having more prestige for your players, getting them into better titles, unlocking all the RGs in one of your cities. And granted that helps the entire map, but how much easier it is for you to have wagons for all 48 goods already set before in-game, instead of trying to save up money or try and hide money with museum, extra engines that you have there to try and convert it all into wagons of all the goods that suddenly become unlocked. Those real expensive pills or chips wagons, because no one else in the map was able to unlock that good. So, avoiding all that, spending that extra time to make extra money to be able to get everything prepared and better position yourself for in-game. It's just such a big difference in how much prestige, or excuse me, how much region points you can uh, develop over that finite time of the eras. And that makes such a huge difference in your region rankings. And with Steam over Europe, the main focus of the entire scenario is to be top region. And so I cannot emphasize them enough. Prevent people from connecting to your cities. You'll have an easier time leveling the landmark. And as soon as you knock out that requirement, you can start focusing on other areas. Now, what about packs? After level 5, the cities are required passengers that can only be picked up from other cities. And so, one of the kind of main excuses is, well, I need to connect to all these cities so I can deliver packs to all of them. That way they can level up efficiently, and therefore, there's not a roadblock of I can't get enough passengers to level the city, and you've got to level up the city before you can level up the landmark if they're both even level. Now, this is true, but you don't need it to the extent of what is typically done. So, let's go back over to Manchester. I'm sorry, I'm kind of losing track here. There we go. So, out of the 86 population, we have 66 people connected to this particular city for Manchester. And, granted, some of those people are from other regions. But, you have at least the majority of your population of the entire region already connected into the city and affecting the requirements of both cash and goods that are needed to level this landmark. And so far they're doing a great job. They're number 6 out of 50. So there's no doubt that this team will be able to overpower it. But just how much hauling could a quality team like this be if they spent less time? And, is a team this qualified, this high quality team, they can't find 1, 2, maybe 3 people that completely focus on packs to connect to just one other city, and over the day plus 2 days, I don't know typically how long a landmark will take to level, especially if you have a much lower requirement. But if you can have someone who's totally focused on packs, they can take care of that requirement for the city levels. And, granted, just a couple people are earning that prestige that's associated. This one's already capped, so that's a bad example. Let me see. So yeah, you won't have every person, a whole slew of people earning this prestige every day until passengers is filled up. But if you have 2, 3 people from one city and 2, 3 other people from the sister city, basically, if they're the only ones connecting to the other side or to one other city, you're not dramatically increasing your requirements at the landmark, but you are getting enough quality players hauling passengers to level the city when it's time to level the city. And you have such a large window in order to take care of passengers, and passengers of course do not suffer any consumption. So once it's been delivered, it only requires 58K, and that's it. And they've reached their limit. So you can handle the passenger side with a minimum number of players that are totally focused on passengers. They've got the higher speed, low acceleration engines. They're focused on that section of the research tree, and they're able to knock out that requirement to level the city, which allows you to level the landmark. And everyone else is focusing on that cargo, or focusing having a couple people do the high traction force version of the passengers to fill up the passenger requirement at the landmarks. Those multi-passenger engines, or what have you. But try and stay focused on specializing your individual members to have the fewest number of people connect to your cities. Keep that requirement as low as possible, and you can then save an entire era to do something else with your hauling. That's a huge advantage. You only have 6 eras in the entire game, and one of those you could spend doing bonus stuff if you just limit the number of people connecting to your cities. So the other thing I hear about with why people feel the need to go connect to other cities is farming prestige, or getting to the comps, particularly bonus engine comps. Well, every city in the region is a region mate. They started in that city, and basically their success is going to be your success. If you are connecting to other cities in the region and you are outranking those people on city hauling to the city every day to kind of get that prestige. So here we have 2 people so far on hardware. I think they just leveled into that. But they have some people hauling significant tons. But if you're just putting in 15, 20 tons in from your Cree engine doing 1 lap on all these, you can earn all these little bits of prestige that gets rewarded every day. But if you are outranking, let's just we have here a mixed bag of people from different corps, and I don't know where all these corps are positioned. This isn't my region, but they are spending time to kind of take away from a teammate prestige going from that basket and to your basket, but really ultimately it's the same basket. So as long as the native people of that town can fill up the board, all that prestige is still going to your region ranking. Now, is that important? If you're going for a top 10, top player award, you can sacrifice this type of prestige and still focus on getting in your little bits of prestige at the landmark, because you can connect to the landmark all day long. As long as you don't connect to the city, you can still haul to the landmark from factories that you're connected to in and around the city. But as long as you're not connecting to the city itself, you're still able to contribute to the landmark, get whatever prestige you can. This is a bad example since they've already leveled. Let me see here. So, you can come in and just do your 100 tons or whatever, and get 31 prestige. Granted, it'll take a couple days for you to get that prestige, but you got 12 different options here, or actually 13 in this case, that you can get those little bits by just very little tons. And you know the landmarks will be leveling faster, so you still will be getting some prestige income, just not as great as if you were hitting to the city and getting that daily prestige from that. But there's a thing about city levels and the daily prestige you get from city hauling, is that at the low levels the prestige isn't all that great. It's only when you're getting into like city level 30s and plus that the prestige becomes really interesting for capturing every day. And so much time is spent in Steam Over Europe on leveling the landmarks. You can be into era 4, sometimes era 5, before you really start powering level cities. And so for 2/3 of the game of that round, you have really low prestige payouts that you might be able to skip, because by skipping on that you'll get at least one entire era to power level that city by not connecting to the city while you're leveling the landmark. And with that, you'll get higher payoffs on your dailies. And granted, it's only 14 days, but still, it's 14 days of significantly higher payouts on prestige that will more than make up from you skipping out on that for the first 2 eras. If you're able to cap your landmark in 3 eras previously, 2 eras if you have a very low population count in your city. So you're kind of, you'll gain more prestige because you're hauling for higher level things when it matters. You'll still have a very healthy prestige income if you just do not connect to the cities. Now the other thing is bonus engines and gold comps. Those are great for people's accounts. Well, guess what? You already have a region mate in that city that started off in that city. And if you need a particular bonus engine, you having twice as many opportunities to get the random comp that's convenient for you and your time and that you spend in the game. But if you win that competition in someone else's city, you've pretty much won that against another region mates. That's going to be your primary competition, is another region mate. That person could benefit from that bonus engine just as much as you are. And their success is your success. And so by not connecting to the city, the natives of that city will have the opportunity to get that bonus engine, that gold, those lottery tickets, those licenses, all the competitions from that good. But if you're connecting around to other cities in your region, you're actually taking away those prizes from your region mates. And so whether you get it or someone else in your region gets it, the region still gets that prize. And that's the most important thing, because Steam Over Europe is all about the region rankings. So as long as one of your people are getting it, your region wins. And that's ultimately good for you. So save yourself so much time. Now, we're almost halfway through this round, and just today there was a suggestion that went out that says go ahead and start connecting to other cities. And some of these cities only have a couple levels left on their landmarks. But if I went around and connected to those cities, I would raise the requirements for the next landmark level up. That means more time that everyone has to spend in my region to level up that landmark. That is less time that they will have for the remaining half of the round to do other things. And so, even no matter where you are in the rounds, by trying to send the message, please do not connect to our cities until we are level 14 on our landmarks. If you can send that message out at any point during the round, you are going to save yourself time. And time is finite. You only have so much in a round. You rather spend that time instead of putting more tons into the landmark when you really didn't need to, and spend that time leveling your cities, getting more region points from that, getting into those higher prestige incomes, have better chances at titles. And with all of that, you'll end up at a higher ranking, no matter what time you start sending out that message. But obviously, if you get that message out at the very beginning, and you can start developing or changing the culture in that region to say, okay, it is better for me to not connect to other cities because it is better, it is so good for the region for me not to connect to other cities. The earlier you can get that accomplished, the more people you can get that message out to, the better off your region is. And for Steam Over Europe, it's all about the region rankings. So I hope this was informative for you, and I hope you'll be able to kind of make those adjustments in the game and get more out of your time and energies that you're spending here. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful day. Bye.